if you take anything out of our discussion today, if you are not already filing, you definitely want to start, because they have stated that they will be looking at those who have filed and who have a track record with discretion, and that's a quote. So I think that's good news. I think what we all want to know is that there's a level of reasonableness here that's worthy of discussion, and that is we've got a security filing. Their job, Customs' job, is to put this security filing in place and to make it work, not to hand out $5,000 fines. They don't relish the thought of doing that. What they want is to get an operation up and running well. So you see the 10 items on the screen, and everyone's very familiar with these right now. Of course, the 11th shadow item is the bill of lading, and that is what is used to match ABI to AMS. Now, for most of the prospects that we're talking to at this point, most of them we find are already in charge of getting that data set together. And this is really what your challenge is, your first challenge. Are you getting the data set together, and are you getting it in time? Once you do that, we've got a great application for you. But that's the first step. So lock that down, and if you've already got it down, that's great. If not, make a couple adjustments in your policies and procedures and get that, and you'll be able to move forward quite well. The slide we put in here is really, as you think about bringing in-house some of these functions, whether it be ISF or at some point direct filing. Our ISF application, entirely web-based, it's part of our direct filing application. And some parts of the ISF are repetitive. It's information that's also necessary to file your customs entry. So what we do, for those of you who are thinking down the line about these processes and bringing them in-house, what we've done is we've taken those repetitive items and we've allowed our system to save that when you file the ISF and then bring it over to the customs entry. So it's pretty exciting, especially that invoice information, which can be, rather time-consuming to get down. Now you only have to put it in once, and when you bring it over to the customs entry, it saves time there as well. And you're not retyping it in, so there's less chance for you to make mistakes. So that's also very good. Now here are the mitigation guidelines, and this has been out now for about a month and a half. There's 4 factors that can result in you being fined. Failure to submit, obviously, very clear. We need to get our ISF in. If you file it late, that's subject to a fine as well. A little bit more difficult measurement there. We'll show you in the progress reports in a minute. Also, Customs expects you to update. If you've got new information, they expect you to update that ISF. So if you fail to do that, that could be subject to a fine. And if your goods get rolled off of that bill of lading to another ship, then they expect you to withdraw that ISF. So if you don't do that, that could be subject to a fine as well. Now, mitigation factors. What will they be looking at in order to reduce or eliminate those fines? Number 1 on the list, progress of your importer's ISF program. And this gets back to what Mike just said. They are looking for importers to, in good faith, be filing their ISFs. If you're not already doing that, you need to start. If you are doing it, as Mike mentioned, you need to take a look at your progress report. And this is an actual progress report for those of you who haven't seen them out there and you are filing now. This is what you look at. This is what you would look to understand how your policies and procedures are working out with that filing. For those of you who are going to be filing, this is what you'll get. You'll get this from us. Now, CBP has been very forward in providing to you a report that lets you know what they're measuring. So the first thing they're measuring is your submission volume, and you can see it month by month. So they're looking for that to increase so that you move forward to filing 100% of the ISFs that you should be filing over time. Because once we get to January 26th of 2010, you've got to file 100%. There's no, I've been working on my easy lanes here and I'll get to the tough ones later. You want to get to those as quickly as possible so that those same policies and procedures are in place. Next thing they look at is what's the rejection frequency. Very early on, there were a lot of duplicate transaction rejections out there, and that's because Customs will not let you file the same bill of lading for 2 different ISFs. What you have to do is amend the one that you did file with new information and resend it. Trade didn't really understand that very well, but now there are much fewer rejections for those reasons. They're also starting to verify more clearly bill of lading numbers. One of the things that started happening in the brokerage industry out there was brokers didn't know what the bill of lading was, so they thought they'd just put in the booking number and use that as the bill of lading and then go back and amend that later. It's not what Customs is looking for, because if the booking number is not the bill of lading number, they can't match it. And you're going to get a no bill match, and they're not going to be able to measure your timeliness in that fashion. So some of the smarter shippers and forwarders have turned that booking number into the bill of lading, and if they've done that, great, because that means you can get your data very early in the process. And for those companies who are dealing with forwarders or shippers that are doing that, it's worked out very well, because you can file early, and by the time the shipper puts that in, you're going to get a match. That's worked out very well. The rest of the rejections, involve incorrect tariff codes or information that was just omitted. Second thing they're measuring, of course, is timeliness, and this is very important because they want to be able to review goods that they feel might be a threat to the United States, and they can only do that if they've got a match on the bill of lading, and they can actually remove them from the shipment issue a do not load. So there's a couple of measurements here. One is the ISFs that are subject to measurement, and what is your timeliness percentage there. And then they're also giving you a number on those submissions that aren't subject to measurement. So if you happen to get a bill of lading that didn't match, well, tough for them to measure that, obviously, but they also have grouped in that that number the amendments, any amendments that you might send, deletions, or rejections from the previous page. So it's a little bit difficult to understand at first. We're happy to help you when you take a look at that first progress report, but you want to be moving your policies and procedures forward so that you can get these done in a timely fashion. And if you're out there filing now through a broker, if you haven't seen this, you want to get it, because you want to know how well that job has been done so far, because now when you're thinking about bringing that in-house, it's going to validate your policies and procedures now as far as the data set gathering. So it's very important no matter what's up. So a few notes, just in general, you can be fined $5,000 for the 4 main items that are covered in the mitigation guidelines, and you could actually be fined up to $10,000 per ISF if you resend incorrect information again. So the penalties are severe, and they're a little bit more rigid than you might see on your customs entry side. But I will say, if you're out there filing, showing good faith, Mr. DiNucci has said we're going to look upon that with discretion. So I think we take that to heart and we just get things going.